In the opulent St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, the crowd fell silent as Amelia Harrington stood at the altar in her custom designer wedding gown. Instead of saying "I do" to Richard the groom, she turned her back on him, her veil flowing dramatically, and walked straight toward Emma, who stood in a simple white dress among the guests. Gasps echoed through the hall as Amelia took Emma's hand and said, "I can't do this anymore, I love you." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap, shattering the carefully orchestrated perfection of what was supposed to be the wedding of the century. Amelia Harrington, the only daughter of Victor Harrington, CEO of Harrington Tech, the tech conglomerate that powered half the nation's infrastructure, had just upended everything. Her father sat in the front pew, his face turning crimson, his fists clenched so tight his knuckles whitened. Her mother Elizabeth covered her mouth in horror, tears already streaming down her perfectly made-up face. Richard stood frozen at the altar, his custom tuxedo suddenly looking too big for his shaking frame. Amelia felt her heart pounding against her ribs, each beat a reminder of the years she had spent burying this truth. She had grown up in the shadow of the Harrington empire, where every decision was weighed against stock prices and boardroom alliances. Love was never part of the equation, it was a transaction. From the moment she could walk, she had been groomed for this exact moment to marry into another powerful family, to secure the merger that would make Harrington Tech untouchable. Richard was the perfect match on paper, son of a rival energy magnate, handsome, ambitious, and willing to play the role. But Amelia had never loved him. Not once in the 2 years of their engagement had his touch stirred anything deeper than polite affection. Emma squeezed her hand, grounding her in the chaos. Emma Thompson, the quiet art teacher from Brooklyn, who had somehow become the center of Amelia's universe. They had met 2 years ago at a charity gala for underprivileged youth where Emma was volunteering to teach painting classes. Amelia had been there as the face of the Harrington Foundation, smiling for cameras while inside she felt empty. Emma had been different, no pretense, no agenda, just genuine passion for helping kids express themselves through color. Their first conversation had lasted hours, hidden in a quiet corner away from the glittering crowd. By the end of the night, Amelia knew she was in trouble. Now standing in the aisle with hundreds of eyes burning into her back, Amelia felt the weight of every lie she had told, every secret meeting, every stolen moment. The family pressure had been relentless. Victor had drilled into her since childhood that the company came first, legacy above all. When rumors of her closeness with Emma had surfaced last year, he had dismissed them as harmless friendship, but warned her that any deviation from the plan would cost her everything. Elizabeth had been subtler, arranging lunches with eligible bachelors and dropping hints about grandchildren who would carry the Harrington name. Amelia had tried to fight it in her own quiet way, canceling dates with Richard, making excuses, but the engagement announcement had come like a hammer blow. The merger was too important, the family reputation too fragile. Emma had begged her not to go through with it, but Amelia had been torn between the woman she loved and the only life she had ever known. Last night in the hotel suite before the wedding, she had stared at her reflection in the mirror, the white gown hanging like a noose. Emma had snuck in through a service entrance, risking everything just to hold her one last time. They had talked for hours, Amelia crying about the guilt, the fear, the impossible choice. Emma had said she would understand if Amelia walked away, but her eyes told a different story. Now here they were in front of the world. The first voice to break the silence was Victor's. "What in God's name do you think you are doing, Amelia?" he roared, standing up so fast his chair toppled over. "This is not a game. Get back to that altar right now." Security guards moved forward, but Amelia raised her hand, stopping them. "No," she said, her voice steady for the first time in years. "I have spent my whole life doing what you wanted, Dad. Marrying Richard would have been the biggest lie of all. I love Emma. I have loved her for 2 years and I cannot hide it anymore." The crowd erupted in whispers, some guests pulling out phones, already recording the scandal that would dominate headlines by morning. Richard finally found his voice, his face pale with humiliation. "Amelia, how could you do this to me, to us?" he stammered, stepping down from the altar. "We had plans, a future. Was it all fake?" Amelia turned to him, her eyes filled with genuine sorrow. "I am so sorry, Richard," she said. "You deserved better than a wife who could never love you the way you deserve. This is not about you, it is about me finally being honest." He shook his head, backing away as his own family rushed to his side, shooting daggers at Amelia and Emma. Emma pulled her closer, whispering, "Are you sure about this?" Amelia nodded, tears now flowing freely. "I have never been more sure in my life. They walked hand in hand down the aisle, the white dresses contrasting like two sides of the same coin, one symbolizing duty, the other freedom. Outside the cathedral, paparazzi swarmed like vultures, flashes blinding them as they climbed into the waiting town car Amelia had arranged as an escape plan she never thought she would use. As the car pulled away from the curb, Amelia looked back at the cathedral, her childhood dreams of approval crumbling behind her. The price was already starting to reveal itself. But for the first time she felt alive. The town car sped through Manhattan traffic, Emma and Amelia sitting in stunned silence, their hands still clasped. Amelia's phone buzzed, non-stop texts from her mother, her brother, her closest friends, all demanding explanations. She silenced it, shoving the device into her purse. Emma stared out the window, her simple white dress now wrinkled from the chaos. "I cannot believe we just did that," she said softly. "Your father looked like he was going to have a heart attack." Amelia leaned her head on Emma's shoulder. "He will survive," she replied, "but I am not sure I would have if I had gone through with it." The guilt was already gnawing at her edges, the image of Richard's betrayed face flashing in her mind. He had been kind, patient, even understanding when she pulled away from intimacy. Now she had humiliated him in front of the entire New York elite. They arrived at Emma's modest Brooklyn apartment, a far cry from the penthouse Amelia had grown up in. The space was filled with paintings, half-finished canvases, and books on art therapy. It felt like home in a way the Harrington mansion never had. Amelia collapsed onto the worn couch, kicking off her heels. The wedding dress pulled around her like a fallen cloud. Emma knelt in front of her, gently unzipping the gown, helping her out of the symbol of her old life. No words were needed, just the quiet comfort of being seen, truly seen. They spent the evening talking about everything: the years of secrecy, the stolen weekends in upstate cabins, the constant fear of discovery. Amelia recounted the first time she realized she loved Emma during a rainy afternoon in Central Park, when Emma had shared her own story of coming out to her conservative family and being cut off emotionally. The family pressure had started long before the engagement. Victor had always controlled Amelia's narrative: private schools, elite colleges, hand-picked friends. When she showed interest in art or literature, he steered her toward business degrees, insisting she needed to understand the empire she would one day inherit. Elizabeth reinforced it with subtle reminders about the importance of a strong marriage alliance. Amelia had dated men in college, all surface level, never connecting until Emma. Their relationship had been a lifeline but also a cage of lies. Every holiday Amelia had to invent excuses to slip away for a few hours with Emma. The moral conflict tore at her daily. Was she betraying her family by living this double life, or betraying herself by denying her truth? News of the wedding disaster spread like wildfire. By midnight, the first articles appeared online: Harrington heiress dumps groom for mystery woman in white. Social media exploded with speculation, some calling Amelia brave, others labeling her selfish, a disgrace. Emma's phone rang, her sister from California, worried about the fallout. Emma reassured her, but Amelia could see the fear in her eyes. "What if they come after me?" Emma asked quietly. "Your family has power." Amelia pulled her close. "I will protect you," she promised, but inside she wondered if she could even protect herself. The Harrington lawyers were probably already drafting documents to cut her off. The next morning brought the first direct confrontation. Victor's call came at dawn, his voice ice cold. "You have embarrassed this family beyond repair," he said. "The merger with Reed Energy is dead. Richard is threatening lawsuits for breach of contract, emotional distress. You will come home immediately, apologize publicly, and fix this, or consider yourself disowned. No trust fund, no position in the company, nothing." Amelia listened, her hand trembling. "I cannot fix this, Dad," she replied. "This is who I am." He hung up without another word. The silence that followed was heavier than any scream. Emma made coffee, her movements deliberate, trying to create normalcy. "We knew this would happen," she said, handing Amelia a mug. "But we have each other." Amelia nodded, but the inner turmoil raged. Had she been selfish, sacrificing not just her future, but the livelihoods tied to the company, thousands of employees who depended on the merger? The societal prejudice was already evident in the online comments, calling them unnatural sinners. Amelia had always known the world was not kind to women like them, but experiencing it raw was different. She thought about the choices that led here, every decision to stay silent, every time she smiled for cameras while dying inside. They spent the day hiding in the apartment, planning next steps. Amelia transferred what money she could from her personal accounts before they were frozen. Emma offered to sell some of her paintings to help. The contrast in their worlds highlighted the sacrifices ahead. Amelia, giving up luxury, Emma risking stability for love. By evening, Amelia felt the first cracks of doubt, but Emma's quiet strength reminded her why she had walked away. This was not just about romance, it was about claiming her life. The days blurred into a media frenzy. Reporters camped outside Emma's building, forcing them to sneak out through the back alley. Amelia watched from the window as her face splashed across every news channel, the perfect heiress reduced to tabloid fodder. Her brother Marcus called next, his tone accusatory. "You destroyed everything, sis," he said. "Dad is meeting with lawyers right now to rewrite the will. Mom has not stopped crying. How could you choose that woman over us?" Amelia defended herself, explaining the years of pressure, but Marcus cut her off. "We all have pressures," he snapped. "I gave up my dreams of music to run the European division. You could have done the same." The call ended with him warning that the family would fight to protect the empire, even if it meant destroying her reputation. Emma tried to shield her from the worst, offering quiet evenings with takeout and movies, but the outside world intruded constantly. A tabloid published old photos of them together, grainy shots from secret dates twisted into scandalous narratives. Societal prejudice hit hard. Comments online questioned their fitness to exist in high society, some even suggesting Amelia needed therapy for her choices. The moral dilemma deepened. Was her love worth the pain she caused Richard, who had lost not just a bride but a business deal? His family issued a statement calling her actions heartless and demanding compensation. In a moment of weakness, Amelia met her mother at a neutral cafe. Elizabeth arrived impeccably dressed, but her eyes were red-rimmed. "Darling," she said, taking Amelia's hands. "This phase will pass. Come home, we can spin it as cold feet. Therapy, marriage counseling, whatever it takes." Amelia pulled away. "It is not a phase, Mom," she said. "I have tried to be what you wanted, but I cannot marry a man." Elizabeth's face hardened. "Then you leave us no choice. The company is bigger than your feelings. If you persist, we will make sure no one in this city does business with you or her." The threat hung between them, a stark reminder of the power dynamics. Emma faced her own battles. Her school principal called, suggesting she take leave to avoid distracting the students. Parents complained about the negative attention. Emma came home that night defeated, her eyes showing the toll. "I do not regret us," she said, "but I hate what this is costing you." Amelia's guilt surged. She had dragged Emma into this storm. They argued for the first time, Amelia accusing herself of selfishness, Emma insisting it was their shared choice. The confrontation revealed deeper layers: Emma's fear of being seen as the seductress, the one who ruined the golden girl. A betrayal came from within. Amelia's former best friend Sophia leaked private messages to the press, messages where Amelia had confessed her love for Emma years earlier. The headline screamed "Secret Lesbian Affair Exposed." Victor used it to paint Amelia as deceptive, manipulative. The family issued a statement distancing themselves, completely disowning her publicly. Amelia read it in Emma's apartment, tears falling. "I gave up everything for this," she whispered. "Was it worth it?" Emma held her through the night, reminding her of the small moments of joy. They had stolen the laughter, the understanding no one else offered. The inner conflict peaked as Amelia lay awake, questioning every decision. Had she betrayed her duty to the employees who would suffer from the failed merger? The societal judgment weighed heavy, whispers of perversion following them everywhere. Yet in Emma's arms she felt a peace she had never known. The trade-off was clear: love versus legacy, and she had chosen, but the price kept rising. Weeks turned into months, the initial shock giving way to sustained pressure. Amelia tried to rebuild a life, teaching occasional art classes alongside Emma, but her name carried baggage. Potential employers turned her away, citing the scandal. The Harrington lawyers sent formal letters severing all ties, freezing accounts, contesting any claim to family assets. Amelia sold her jewelry, the last remnants of her old life, to cover rent. Emma supported them with her modest salary, but the strain showed in late-night worries about the future. A major moral confrontation arose when Richard filed a lawsuit for fraud, alleging Amelia had knowingly entered the engagement under false pretenses. The court documents detailed years of deception, demanding millions in damages. Amelia met with her own lawyer, a pro bono advocate for LGBTQ rights, who warned the case could drag on for years, draining them emotionally and financially. Sitting in the lawyer's office, Amelia faced the reality of her choices, the man she had hurt now using the system to punish her. Was this justice or revenge? The dilemma tore at her duty to make amends versus protecting the new life she was building. Emma suggested they leave New York, start fresh somewhere less hostile, but Amelia refused. "This is my city," she said. Running would mean letting them win. Their relationship deepened through the hardship. Late night talks about identity, acceptance, the courage it took to live authentically. Emma shared stories of her own coming out, the rejection from her parents, the years of building independence. Amelia realized her privilege had blinded her to the daily battles Emma had fought alone. The betrayal escalated when Marcus leaked financial records to the press, implying Amelia had stolen company funds during her time on the board. The accusation was false, but the damage stuck. Public opinion shifted further against her. Amelia confronted him at his office building, security escorting her out as he watched from above. The family rift was complete, no reconciliation in sight. Through it all, they faced societal prejudice head-on. At a small gallery event where Emma's work was shown, guests whispered, pointing fingers. One woman approached Amelia directly, asking how she could abandon her family for this lifestyle. Amelia responded calmly, "This is not a lifestyle, it is my life." The encounter left her shaken but stronger. Emma hugged her afterward, proud of her resolve. The climax of doubt came during a quiet dinner when Emma voiced her deepest fear. "What if I am holding you back?" she said. "You could have had everything." Amelia took her hands. "You are everything," she replied. "The sacrifice is mine to bear, and I choose it every day." Their bond solidified in that moment, the awakening that love was not easy, but it was real. The lawsuit intensified, forcing Amelia and Emma into depositions where lawyers dissected their relationship, questioning every interaction. Richard testified, his voice breaking as he described the public humiliation. Amelia sat through it all, her composure cracking only in private with Emma. The moral weight pressed down. Was her happiness worth his pain? The employees who lost bonuses from the collapsed merger. She wrote Richard a letter of genuine apology, but it was returned unopened. A close friend from college reached out offering support, but it turned out to be another betrayal, the friend recording their conversation for a tell-all book deal. The excerpts painted Amelia as confused, unstable. Emma discovered it first, shielding Amelia from the full article, but the damage was done. Trust in old circles evaporated. Amelia confronted the friend in a heated phone call, the exchange revealing how envy and greed fueled the knife in the back. Family pressure peaked with a final ultimatum from Victor delivered through intermediaries. Sign over any remaining claims, renounce the Harrington name, and the lawsuits disappear. Amelia refused, standing firm. The decision cost her the last threads of connection but freed her spirit. Emma supported her through sleepless nights, reminding her of the growth they had achieved together. Societal backlash manifested in protests outside their building, small groups chanting against what they called immoral choices. Amelia and Emma faced them with dignity, holding a small press conference where Amelia spoke about love, acceptance, and the price of authenticity. The video went viral, garnering support from unexpected corners, but also death threats. They moved temporarily to a safer location, Emma's cousin offering a spare room in Queens. Inner awakening grew as Amelia journaled her journey, recognizing the patterns of suppression from childhood. Therapy sessions uncovered the deep-seated fear of disappointing her parents, the root of her long silence. Emma attended some sessions, learning to voice her own resentments about being the secret. Their communication strengthened, turning conflict into connection. The sacrifices mounted. Emma lost her teaching position due to parent complaints. Amelia exhausted her savings. Yet they built new routines, simple joys like cooking together, walks in lesser-known parks. The contrast highlighted what truly mattered. The final showdown came at the Harrington Tower, where Amelia demanded a meeting with her father. Security tried to block her, but she pushed through, entering the boardroom where Victor sat with executives. "You have taken everything," she said, "but you cannot take my truth." Victor sneered. "Truth?" he echoed. "You threw away a legacy for a fling." Amelia stood tall. "It was never a fling. It is love, the kind you never understood because you built this empire on control, not connection." The room fell silent as she detailed the years of pressure, the moral cost of living a lie. Victor offered one last deal, return, and he would salvage what remained. Amelia refused, walking out for the last time. Outside, Emma waited in the car. "How did it go?" she asked. "It is over," Amelia replied, "but we are just beginning." They drove away, the city lights blurring as tears of release fell. The awakening was complete. Amelia understood the true price, not just money or status, but the illusion of approval. She had paid it willingly. In the months that followed, they rebuilt slowly, Emma securing a new position at a progressive school, Amelia starting a non-profit for LGBTQ youth using her name for good. The scandal faded, replaced by stories of resilience. Their love endured, tested by fire, forged stronger. Did Amelia make the right choice by following her heart at the altar, or did she selfishly betray her family and the innocent lives caught in the wreckage?